The year is 1998, and the place is this hole-in-the-wall store in the middle of La Laguna. I am over there in my, 15 years old, I didn't do the math, with my brother and one of his nerdy friends, and they've been talking up this new game that they found. It's called Warhammer, and you have to buy little miniatures for it. So this is the first thing that I buy. These mounted demonettes. They are ugly as hell. I'm not terribly into them, but I want to be the evil guy. The most evil faction. It's the coolest by definition. It is just the start. It's the start of a new, beautiful collection of deadly and super cool miniatures. Alongside the demonettes, I also got this Keeper of Secrets. Unlike the demonettes, I did paint it. It was an absolutely atrocious job. So I blacked it out and repainted it. And this is the result. This is not fielded as a Keeper of Secrets. I fielded as something else that will come up later. So that's where I started. I am maybe 15,000 points into this collection. I have collected them off and on, and I have kept them in these atrocious boxes. And we were looking into moving, and I was like, I need to fix this situation. I started pulling them out. I browsed through some of the things that I had not finished. I was like, I need to paint this. I need to paint these dragon ogres. And that's how I got back into it. Let me show you. And it's going to be a trip down memory lane because this collection has been with me since I was a teenager. And we'll start with the EGRIMM HORSTMANN in the Chaos Dragon. This was a gift from my grandmother. I remember the price. It was 10,000 pesetas. It was a birthday present, and I was shocked that she actually got it for me because it was so damn expensive. But she did. My grandmother, I was not super fond of her. She created a bunch of drama for my parents, and I mildly resented her for it. But, you know, I was a kid, so I didn't know to appreciate her properly. My brother, she was much closer to her. And out of respect for that relationship, I never, expressed any kind of, resentment or anything like that. But it's just a complicated memory that I have associated with this dragon. The figure itself, it's incredible. This is an extreme classic. Try to get this on eBay. I haven't tried, but I feel like you will have to spend a good $400 to get the original box of this thing. It was my first project that I ever did that it was this big. It was absolutely massive. I remember spending so long on it. It is such a heavy miniature that it kind of squatted, and the belly was touching the floor and it was tilted forward. So I put it on a pile of other bases and have not bothered to actually do the proper base. Work to be done. Next up is Garroga-Wagh, the Chaos Giant. I set out to use every single bit of the kit of the Chaos Giant. I love this miniature. It's perhaps my favorite of my entire collection. I love the dude that is torn to pieces on the floor. I love that the guys that he's collecting, they're all redheads. He has a thing for the redheads. Don't ask what he does to them. And every piece I could put from the giant kit, I bashed it into this two-headed Etin of a Chaos Giant. Love the gash of blood on the side. It looks very good. The bib with the chunks of people is a joy to look at. And, it's just, it was perhaps the most fun figure, the most fun miniature that I have put together. It's a damn shame that Chaos Giants are absolute ass in stats and they will die instantly to a cannon, but I'm still going to field them because I freaking love them. I thought it was a wonderful touch to put the shit-stained loincloth on him. On the same vein, this is the gigantic spawn of Nurgle. This was a Magath Lord set. It's an awesome kit that you can convert into a gigantic spawn of chaos. This was the first time I ever used Silly Putty, the green stuff. So unlike the others, this is really recent work. Really proud of the entire conversion using the green stuff to make everything fit nicely. Remove entirely the rider, put the little Nurgling as the pilot of the monster. And once again, try to use absolutely everything in the kit. Special mention to the body parts coming out of the bottom mouth. Was fully modeled with green stuff. One of the grossest, if not the grossest models that I have in the collection. You may notice they're all pretty shiny. I love the look of a gloss varnish. I know it may be tacky in some circles. I just really like the look of gloss varnish, so I put it on everything. I think it just makes all the colors pop so nicely. I like it. And now, the Khorne Bloodthirster. This guy came out sometime in the middle 2000s. He's like between the first editions and the latest gigantic miniatures. These are like the middle of the road types. And this guy was painted by my brother. I have yet another cool memory associated with it, just watching my brother paint it and put it together. He has this tendency, and you can always tell in the things that he paints, at least of the things that I have in my collection, the eyeball. He will always paint the eyeball white and then the black dot for the eye, for the pupil. It's like kind of part of his style, and it really endears these miniatures to me. The paint job itself, I think it was amazing. It really holds up so nicely. I have zero complaints about how well he painted this guy. All I did was put the beautiful gloss varnish on top of it and made it look even better in my estimation. He has been quite the pain in the ass through history, though. I've had to put him back together several times. Next up, we have the first Lord I ever painted, and I wanted to make this Keeper of Secrets
Lord of Change
lore accurate. You read the description of the Keeper
Lord
of Secrets,
of Change,
and it doesn't say that it's a blue bird. It says there's all these multicolor hues, this colors everywhere. There's a lot of change and variation, so I wanted to paint something that was much closer to that instead of the usual bluebird that you see. Now, does it look cooler than the bluebird? I don't think so. I think it looks a little, funky, a little whack, but I am really proud of it because I actually won Best Painted Lord in a local competition that there was back when I was playing locally here in Fairbanks. Though it may have had to do with the fact that there was only 2 other figures and they were not good. The base looks funky because the old world changed all the bases and I didn't want to redo the damn base, so I just glued a bunch of other bases under it. And if it looks homemade, well, it was homemade. Very fond of this miniature overall. Next up, my 2 dudes in Daemonic mounts. Unfortunately, these mounts are not a thing anymore in current Old World edition. First, the guy on the Disc of Zinch. Again, cool memory of the first time I painted flames and I was happy with the result. I'm really proud of all the flame effects throughout this entire figure. The entire miniature has all these flame effects and I really like the look of it. And the base too is probably my best base that I ever made. Just somehow the Jenga of actual rocks picked from the floor, they worked out so beautifully. Somehow they fit together. Don't ask me how that happened. Then we have the Lord on Demonic Steed from one of the battalions that they came out with back in 7th edition, I think. It was a huge collection of a whole Chaos army, like 1,500 points or something stupid like that. It was perhaps the best value they've ever come out with a Chaos army. I never put it together back then. This is another really recent creation. And this guy may be the one that I have spent the most time on, mostly because of that glowing effect on the hammer that I hope came out right. Might have gone a little overboard with the base and the spear sticking out and the chopped off head and whatnot, but overall I think it has a pretty damn good effect. I think the bit that I like the most is the reddish tint on the horse armor. I really like the look of that. Now it's the first of my shames. This one is Not that great of a miniature, okay? I will be the first to recognize that. It is a Screamer of Tzeentch with a dude with a standard on top, and he's just standing straight. Probably this man should be flexing his knees to be able to balance himself on top of the Screamer of Tzeentch. Look, don't think too hard about it. This guy's my battle standard bearer, and I'm going to stick with him, okay? He is quite vintage without being old hammer. Ooh, next come the Dragon Ogres, my favorite miniatures in the entire collection. For some reason, from the very start, I was very much into Dragon Ogres. Something about Dragon Ogres called to me from way back when. I loved the new sculpts. These gigantic Dragon Ogres are absolutely badass. I love them. The Shaggoth is the guy that got me back now into painting. Holding the Shaggoth in my hand and seeing like, man, I need to get this shit painted. I need to get it done. For all the more modern sculpts, I went with the color scheme from the Chaos Dragon with the red skin and the glowy orangey scales. I really like that look, so I figured they should all kind of match and maybe I can field them all together. I also have some really old school Dragon Ogres from when they first came out. They are ugly as sin. They are so hideous. These miniatures, perhaps the most awful sculpts ever made by Games Workshop. And I love them, and I don't know why, but they are a great part of why I was into Warhammer. There is something esoteric, there is something mystical about my attraction to these old hammer crappy-ass sculpts, and I will make no apologies for them. The paint jobs are not the greatest. These are the result of my brother's beginner efforts and my own beginner efforts trying to copy him. They have some room for improvement, but I will never paint over them. Another recent effort, there is something about the Gorebeast Chariot that makes it leagues above superior to a regular horse chariot in my mind. I understand the theory crafting is not there. Gorebeast Chariots are like strictly worse when all things are considered. But there's something about the model that I really, really enjoyed. And painting this recently was a really fun time. The cape was so badass. It's just a red cape, but it just looks so good to me. The weapon was a very cool, glassy, magical effect kind of thing. I really liked it. And the armor with the greenish tint. I don't know, there's something about this miniature that really came together. I was very, very happy with the result. And of course, that varnish doing like 50% of the heavy lifting on this one. Next come the knights. We have all generations in these knights. Old hammer, middle of the road, and the more recent sculpts that are not Age of Sigmar. The modern ones, I painted them this year. Another really time-consuming effort. You really don't realize the amount of little details that you have to cover with these guys. And I enjoy painting giant monsters way more than rank and file or people on horseback. I think people on horseback are the most tedious thing to paint. I love the results, but there's something about painting horses that is just really fucking tedious. Next up, the miniature that is Middle Hammer. These guys were painted by my brother. I was always so fond of the job that he did. I would never dream to paint over these guys. Again, you can see the eyeball with the pupil. Very cool. And check out that standard with the custom chain and the skull at the bottom of it. There was a skull attached to the other one. I don't know what happened to it. It fell off at some point. I was never able to find it. And then we have the Old Hammer Knights. These were also painted by my brother much earlier than the others. You can definitely tell the difference in skill from painting the red ones and then later the black ones. Very fond memories of running these guys against Imperial cannons and just trying to charge them before they got blown to bits back when they had a 2+ save and they were overpowered as hell. Couple special characters, the Khorne standard that I printed and then painted with crayons. And then, you may not know, this is actually ARCHAON. Before he was riding that giant miniature that they came out with, he was just riding a steed. And this, I remember so clearly, that blister pack. It came in a red blister pack, and it said, ARCHAON, the Ever Chosen. And he's just a dude riding a horse. I painted this one myself. I wouldn't say it's a great job, but you know, it is a good thing to keep your less inspired works, so you can compare the present with the past. Next up, some Marauder Horsemen, a staple of every single list. They need to be there. I don't know why I'm always driven to always include them, and they will always be a flail missile. They're going to be 90 to 100 point flail missile that I throw at something. It's like 13 attacks, strength 5, and they will have an incredible result or whiff completely. It's never in between. Another champion from that big battalion collection that they came up with a while ago. Not much to say about him. He's just a cool little dude. Next up, here's the core, the Warriors of Chaos. These are a huge amalgam of not quite Old Hammer. I've never liked Old Hammer. I'm really fond of Middle Hammer, the 2010s kind of models, and the modern sculpts. I'm really into them as well. So these are a big mix of all of those, and also some questionable purchases that I did back when I was starting. I would not call them Old Hammer. I'm pretty sure they were just bootleg. They were just Chaos Warriors in quotation marks in blister packs. Pretty sure there was no Games Workshop logo anywhere. They're all metal cast. Some of these were painted by my brother. Most of them, it was me. I am very nostalgic with these guys. They've been a core part of my army for so long. You can tell many of the paint jobs are rushed as hell. Just to slap some metallics on them and you're good. There are, for some reason, some orc armored warriors in there. I swear, they all came in the same blister packs that said Chaos Warriors. Therefore, it is legal to call them Chaos Warriors. Perhaps the best model of the collection, and it's my one and only attempt at freehand drawing of a standard, was this guy with the face of a predator. But the standard, it really looked like a monster with a tongue out, so that's what I painted on it, or at least attempted to do it. I think the result was pretty good. I was surprised. And every time I look at it, I am surprised. Like, did I really freehand paint this shit? I would not be able to swing this today. Next, another big favorite of mine in the lore of chaos and miniatures in general, Spawns of Chaos. I love the entire concept of Spawns of Chaos. I think it's a crime that they are dog shit on the table today in the old world. They have never been that great, but I love the concept of the Spawn of Chaos so much. And in the old rules, you had to have a Spawn of Chaos because so often your heroes would become one of them. And you know, you just plunk down the model. It's really cool to replace your hero with a Spawn of Chaos model. These are all half-baked models that I painted very recently. Here's the Keeper of Secrets. I think he really works as a Slaanesh Spawn of Chaos. This was the first edition, I believe. The very first Keeper of Secrets that they ever came out with. Today, he looks like a mook. But as a Spawn of Chaos, it really works. Then a Middle Hammer Spawn of Chaos model. I believe this is the best they have ever released. The recent Spawn of Chaos models, they're not my favorite. They're not that great. This guy with the 20 billion appendages, it was such a pain in the ass to paint, but I really, really like the model. And then this guy, I have no idea where this guy came from. One day he was in my collection. I don't remember where I got him from somewhere. I found him somewhere. It was a toy from one of my cousins, a cereal box. I don't know. I don't know where he came from, but I painted him and he looks like a Spawn of Chaos. Don't give me no grief about it. He looks the part. And then the real backbone of every Chaos Warriors list, the dogs. You need to have dogs. I don't think this has changed at all since they were first introduced. You need that shitty deployable trash that will consume deployable opportunities so that later you can deploy the stuff that matters where it matters. These guys will eat an arrow volley. They might charge at a War Machine crew and get mowed down by the War Machine crew because they are so crap. But of course, their best use is to screen people with frenzy and to redirect some charges maybe. I hated painting them. Something about painting these guys was so mind-numbingly tedious. I am so glad I never used more than 10 dogs. I don't want to ever paint dogs ever again. That's it. That's the extent of my fully painted army. I have many other halfway there projects. Let me show you a few of the models that are in my pile of shame. We have this guy that was a Chariot of Slaanesh when that was a thing, halfway done. A Chariot of Tzeentch with a Chaos Sorcerer, halfway done. I thought it was a really cool concept. This was before there were actual demon chariots in the game. Next is my pile of Chaos Trolls in several states of disrepair and progress. Really fond of these models. I will definitely get around to them. They are so nasty and gross. Definitely off-brand. They're not Games Workshop. But these models are badass. I really, really like them. They're actual literal Chaos Trolls. Too bad Chaos Trolls are a complete non-starter in the old world. They're absolute dog shit. Here's my almost done unit of Forsaken. I'll include a picture of the finished unit. Most notably is this dude right here. He is a named character that was in like 7th edition or one of them. Like a twin with the Tzeentch spawn thing whispering in his ear. It's a really cool concept. Unfortunately, his staff broke, so I replaced it with a Skaven knife. And I think the final result, they're really happy with the red armor. It looks really, really cool. The colors on this guy are one of my best work. The rest of the unit of Forsaken, there are no real Forsaken models in the game, so you kind of have to make do. These guys are some Chaos Cultist from 40k that just look the part so well, trying to keep the color scheme the same as the quote-unquote champion of the Forsaken unit, even though there's no champions in the Forsaken, whatever. What I did with this guy is I filed a bunch of the features so that way it doesn't look like they are possessed entirely by demons. It's just deformed Forsaken dudes with really weird body parts. And then I filled up the units with other fellows that just looked the part. They had some kind of mutation and gave them the same color scheme. The unit looks pretty damn cool if you ask me. And the rest of my pile of shame is not worth going through one by one. It's basically the original contents of this box was a pile of chosen dudes that they have so many details on them. I don't know if I'll ever want to get around to painting them. It's just so much work. A few more Marauders and more Trolls and whatnot. Then I have the other box, the original box that I shipped my Warhammer models all the way to Alaska. It fared pretty well. Hardly anything broke. And there's a whole unit of Marauders in here. I've never been into Marauders. I think they should be their own army. Get the shit out of my freaking Chaos army. Give me my elite super warriors. Shove that chaff right up your ass. Unopened inbox, just one. GALRAUCH. He was a present from my wife that I never got around to putting together. Until recently. Check it out. All I need to do is finish the base. Really happy with this color scheme. I am thoroughly grossed out by the tentacles taking over his brain. It's very, very neat. And well, there's also a few Skaven that I keep in this box. But let's not talk about that. So to properly transport this pile of very valuable miniatures, I got myself a couple display cases with trays inside. I went out of my way to magnetize all the bases, make sure that everything doesn't slide around. And I was concerned that these two cases would not be enough, but they were actually more than enough. There's some room to spare. Certainly more trays than I need. That's it. That's all I got. You think after over 20 years of collecting this army, it would be bigger than this, but I went through several years of not even thinking about them. It's only recently that I really got back into it and looking into the latest edition of the Old World, and I've been really enjoying just painting them for the joy of it. I never had that mentality before without that drive to get them on the table, you know? I put my painting station downstairs so I can hang out with my wife while painting and watching TV. It has been just a really good time to enjoy this hobby in a way that has brought me closer to her instead of being something that kind of keeps me away from her. And she says she loves watching me paint my toy soldiers, so everybody wins. One day I'll get around to painting all her dwarves. Let me know if you have any questions or suggestions. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one, nerds.